Cool guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're looking at the latest film to drop onto Netflix, The Old Guard. This film was directed by Prince-Bythewood and it was based on a graphic novel series that was done by Greg Rucka. Charlize Theron is the main star of this film and she plays a character called Andy, and I was really interested in this movie going into it. So I hadn't actually seen any trailers for this film beforehand, so I really had no idea what this film was going to be about. I didn't even really look at the synopsis for it either. I just kind of went in blind. And I was very curious to see what the film was about. I saw obviously the poster for it and some of the preview art that was on Netflix obviously, and it looked interesting. So I was really curious about what this film was going to be about. And this film actually had a really interesting premise. Pretty much it follows this group of people who are immortal and they can pretty much heal from anything. And they've lived for centuries and centuries and they've been at sort of essential parts of history. So it was a really interesting concept going forward, and pretty much what they do is they try their utmost best to remain secret and to remain hidden, but at the same time be doing good and protecting people and helping people. And that is pretty much the premise of this film. What makes this film interesting is that there's this new character who is introduced into the film who is also immortal and can heal and stuff like that. And the group of people we follow at the beginning of the film, they get wind of this and they end up trying to find this person. I enjoyed this film. I think it was good, it was decent. I was a little disappointed at some aspects and I'll get into this just now, but I think that at the beginning of this film it really does set up the world well. It sets up the characters pretty well as well, I would say, especially Charlize Theron's character, who plays a character called Andy. And we obviously, because she's the main character, she's the main protagonist of the film, I think they did set up her character pretty well. I'd say besides Andy, who's the main protagonist of the film, the other character I only kind of really cared about was Niall. And if you've seen the movie, you might know why that is the case. But I think she was the other only really interesting character in this movie, to be honest. I felt like the other characters were, for me personally, felt a little underdeveloped and a little boring, to be honest. I didn't really invest much into them. Harry Melling is also in this movie, and you probably have no idea who that is, but if you have seen Harry Potter, he plays Dudley Dursley in those films. So it was really funny seeing him grown up, and as soon as I saw him on the screen, I was like, I've seen that guy somewhere, and immediately went to Harry Potter. So I just thought it was kind of funny. That's just a side note. I don't really know where it fits in this review, but I just thought I'd share that. I will be honest, I thought the villain was remarkably underdeveloped, and quite frankly I didn't care about the villain at all in this movie, which is a problem with these sort of films. If you want me to invest in the story and invest in the characters, you've got to have a compelling villain, and quite frankly I thought the villain in this film was just really boring, really cliche, and quite frankly I just wasn't invested in any of their motives in the film. I just thought it was a really bland villain. Obviously I love seeing Charlize Theron in action films. She's in Mad Max Fury Road, which is an insane epic movie. I love the film so much, and she definitely does do the action roles really well, and it was great seeing her in this film again as well. And I would say for the most part the stunt work and the action choreography was really good in this film, but for some reason in some of the action scenes they put this really distracting music over the action scenes, and it just doesn't help the action scenes at all in my opinion. I don't know why they decided to do this, but it just didn't make the action scenes as compelling for me, and I kind of was distracted by the music at times. I'd also say sometimes the cinematography in the action scenes could have been a bit better. You can definitely tell that the action scenes in this film have been influenced by other movies, other action films, which is no problem at all. But it's just having this weird camera work sometimes and this really distracting music over some of the action scenes, it just, I don't know, it just took away from those action scenes for me personally. There are some really good ones, however, I would still say there's some really cool action scenes in this film, but I would say there could have been some really great ones as well. And in my opinion, the music and some of the camera work took away from those scenes, unfortunately. I would also say some of the editing in this film felt really weird for me. Sometimes when there is this sort of pop music or this high upbeat music over a scene, the way the scenes are cut just doesn't fit with the music, and they definitely could have fitted better with the music and timed it better with the music in the film, but for some reason they didn't do that, and I'm not quite sure why. And it kind of does feel like the music was just sort of added in last minute onto the film without them really considering what it does to the film's feel and the film's pace. So that really distracted me, and yeah, that's probably one of my biggest criticisms on the whole film, in my opinion. Just the really distracting music at times. I'd say the first act of the film was really good, a really good setup, really strong starting point. The second act of the film was good, wasn't great in my opinion. And then the third act of the film just felt really all over the place and kind of long, and it wasn't paced out nicely at all. There was a part towards the end of the film where I thought the film was going to end and it just didn't end. And I was like, I had to wait like a bit longer for the film to end. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but for me as an audience member viewing this film, it kind of detaches me from the movie a little bit. I would say overall, the film is worth watching. I do recommend watching it, and I'm sure there are going to be really hardcore fans of this film. I just think for me personally, I was expecting a little bit more. I think the film definitely does set up a potential future for this franchise, which could be interesting if they do decide to take that route. I gave this film a 3 out of 5 stars, and I think that's kind of where it sits for me at the moment. That may change over time, but at the moment it sits at around about a 60% for me. One thing I will say though is I do like that these smaller graphic novel series are getting attention, and they're being adapted into TV series and film. I think it's really awesome. We kind of seen that now with this film. We've seen that with Umbrella Academy on Netflix as well. We've seen that with The Boys on Amazon. So it's cool that these smaller graphic novel and these smaller comic companies are being adapted onto the big and small screens. So I am happy about that, and I am excited to have more sort of graphic novel comic content on streaming services and in the theaters besides DC and Marvel. I think it's cool. Guys, if you have seen The Old Guard, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Honest opinions, please, and please don't spoil anything in the comments, but if you have seen the film, let me know what you think about it. And then stay tuned for a review of Palm Springs, which is also dropping today. That was a really cool movie, and I'm really excited to talk about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.